Well. Here we go again. Another quarterback that is supposed to dethrone Dak Prescott. Another quarterback that is supposed to be better than Dak Prescott. Well, we get to see him in his first preseason game. And all of a sudden, people are kind of changing their mind on Joe Milton. And some of us, our minds will never turn towards Joe Milton. And as I watched Joe Milton play on Saturday, to be honest with you, there was no surprises about Joe Milton. And this is no knock on Joe Milton. But the question that I have as we get into this video is, did Joe Milton get exposed? Let's talk, Cowboys. We're about to talk facts. Welcome, Cowboy fans and Cowboy haters alike. I'm the G, and I'm the host of Let's Talk Cowboys, where we talk facts. And if you like this video, don't forget at the end to please like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know the next time we post another video or go live. And if you haven't become a channel member or subscriber yet, please do. We have a lot of great things coming up this season. Now let's talk facts. Joe Milton. Joe Milton III. Another quarterback that's supposed to come in here and upend Dak Prescott, dethrone Dak Prescott, be better than Dak Prescott. It's amazing to me that no matter who it is, from Cooper Rush to Trey Lance, and now one Joe Milton III is supposed to be better than Dak Prescott, only for us to see how good Dak Prescott really is once you start really looking and observing quarterbacks and seeing how they truly handle games. But this is not about Dak Prescott. This is about Joe Milton. And the question is, did Joe Milton get exposed? Well, for me, Joe Milton didn't get exposed. And the reason why I say Joe Milton did not get exposed is because if you understand who and what Joe Milton is up until this point, nothing that you saw on Saturday surprised you. Let me give you some proof of what we saw on Saturday is exactly what Joe Milton is. And we can call that good or bad or indifferent, but I'm going to show you why we already knew what Joe Milton was and what he is up until this point. Check this out. So I want you to look at Joe Milton's scouting report. It says, possesses exceptional arm strength that rivals the best, enabling him to make throws many can't. Demonstrates quick acceleration through his throwing motion, sending the ball across the field instantaneously. Check. Displays commendable pocket awareness, making controlled movements under pressure, showcasing his football IQ. While his significant size and stature, 6'5", 240 pounds, which I think he is now, he exemplifies the prototypical quarterback build, which is strange to me because a lot of quarterbacks in this league, especially the ones who have won Super Bowls, are not this prototypical size. It says, not just a stationary passer, shows the ability to move off his spot, make accurate throws on the run. While his processing speed may need tuning, his velocity compensates by closing tight windows effectively. His resistance to sloppy tackle attempts due to his size means defenders need to ensure solid hits to impact him, has a lightning quick release that combined with his arm strength makes him a formidable offensive weapon. Yeah, this is the scouting report for his strengths. But let's look at the weaknesses. And I think this is going to tell the rest of the story. Accuracy and touch in his passing game require refinement, consistently overshoots or underthrows targets, missing open opportunities presented on film. It's kind of what we saw on Saturday, isn't it? It says while physically gifted, he's on the older side. And I've been saying this. He's on the older side for a rookie at 24. He's now 25. Concerns arise regarding synchronizing NFL maturation with physical peak. Questions linger about his field reading capability, especially post-snap. Previous performances suggest lack of anticipation and decision-making, making speed in high-pressure situations. Tends to be predictable under pressure, after defaulting to specific escape maneuvers, which can lead to missed opportunity or jeopardized plays. Is this not what we saw on Saturday? See, I like to always go back to players' draft reports because this shows us the progress. What we're looking for is the progress. So after 1 year with the New England Patriots, now that he's with the Cowboys, have we seen any improvements from what he was? And so reading Joe Milton's scouting report, it's still the same. It doesn't mean that he can't improve, but it's still the same. People don't realize he was a 6-year college quarterback. I'm not telling anybody anything new, at least I shouldn't be. He was a 6-year, I think, a 6-year collegiate quarterback. Went from Michigan to Tennessee. 1 year starter. 1 year starter. I think he played in something around 11 games. He doesn't really have a lot of experience playing the quarterback position, but there's a reason for that, because he obviously wasn't able to beat out the quarterbacks in front of him. And he's starting to sound like Trey Lance to me, because when we brought in Trey Lance, former first-round pick, people kept talking about the attributes, all of those things. Being 6'4", 6'5", having an incredible arm, being able to run the ball does not mean you can play quarterback in this league. And so again, for me, the question is, did Joe Milton get exposed? Or are the people who keep talking about Joe Milton get exposed? Because what they want you to believe is that 32 other teams in 2024, 32 other teams were so dumb that they passed over Joe Milton III 5 times. And then in the 6th round, some of the other 32 teams passed over him until finally the New England Patriots picked him in the 6th round. So you're telling me the NFL scouts are that dumb? They're that dumb that Joe Milton is sitting out there and they chose to overlook him. So people also want us to believe that Joe Milton III was pressuring Drake May so strong. He was pressuring Drake May so strong that because Drake May was the number one, or was a first-round draft pick, and Joe Milton III, a 6th-round draft pick, that the New England Patriots, when Mark Vrabel came on board, that they said because they didn't want him to push Drake May, they traded him? But wouldn't you actually want those type of problems? Because if your 6th-round quarterback is better than your 1st-round quarterback, you could trade your 1st-round quarterback. And you could have your 6th-round quarterback, because that's what he was. You could have your 6th-round 2nd quarterback. You could let him continue to push him to the point of pushing him on out the door, and Joe Milton could have been your future. But we want people to believe that Mark Vrabel just automatically said he didn't want Joe Milton, as if they didn't show Mark Vrabel tape on Joe Milton, as if he didn't even look at Joe Milton and just said, I didn't want him. There was a few things being said about Joe Milton over there, and I'm not gonna try to perpetuate those rumors. But you're crazy if you think that if Joe Milton is what some of the Dallas media was propping him up to be, and what some of the things that you heard, Brian Schottenheimer, I was saying this early on. Some people were saying this early on this channel. They were saying that Brian is overhyping Joe Milton and maybe he should back off a little bit. But Brian, at every turn, it seems, every time Joe Milton comes up, it's like he goes out of his way to talk about how good Joe Milton is. Well, you keep doing that because the moment people see him on the field and he's not as good as you say he is. Again, my question is, did Joe Milton get exposed? Or are the people who are talking and we're talking about him getting exposed? Because again, people want us to believe that the Cowboys were the smartest people in the room. The New England Patriots had Joe Milton out there for a third-round pick for a long time. Nobody would take it. Nobody would give up a fourth. Nobody was even close to what I heard. Nobody was even close to giving up a fifth. But the Cowboys were willing to give up a fifth-round draft pick for Joe Milton III. So again, this was pre-draft. So you're telling me that the Steelers, the Jets, the Saints, the Giants, the Browns, even the Titans. So you're telling me they could have got Milton for a sixth. So you're telling me they could have got Milton for a fifth round, even a fourth. They could have then came back and used their first round pick, like the Titans. They could have used their first round pick to get Abdul Carter while bringing in Joe Milton on a fourth or a fifth round trade. You telling me that Joe Milton is so good that no other team thought to do that? This is the stuff that people want us to believe. People, we got to be smarter than this. Everybody saw what Joe Milton is. What we saw on Saturday is what they all know he is. This is why none of those other teams were willing to give up anything to get Joe Milton. But only in Dallas do we do this. Only in Dallas do we bring in a quarterback that everyone has pretty much passed on. And we're going to try to make him into the end all to be all and to quote unquote push Dak Prescott, and in the minds of some, push Dak Prescott out the door. And so, again, did Joe Milton get exposed, or are the people who have been talking him up getting exposed? Because this was written over on The Athletic over here. This was written over on Athlon Sports by, so again, is Joe Milton getting exposed, or are the people who have been talking up Joe Milton getting exposed? Cowboys Joe Milton shows Jekyll and Hyde sides in Rams preseason loss. What Jekyll and Hyde sides? This is what his scouting report said he was. How can it be a Jekyll and Hyde when this is actually what you are at this point in your career? It says Dallas Cowboys quarterback Joe Milton had a mixed bag in the loss to the Los Angeles Rams. It says here the Dallas Cowboys 31-21 loss to the Rams saw quarterback Joe Milton get his first taste of proper football at SoFi Stadium. Well, maybe at SoFi Stadium, but I'm going to bring back to your recollection that there were a whole bunch of people that they're now very silent that were bragging about a game against the Buffalo Bills last year in the last game of the season, that I came out flat out and said that you don't understand. The Buffalo Bills took out somewhere around, 17 starters, treated that game like a bye week. It was the New England Patriots who came out playing for their life. They were playing for their life. I mean, Joe Milton, this is the first time he's getting some real action in a regular season game. They wanted to see what he was, and Joe Milton went out there and just, I don't know if I'll say lit it up, but he had a very good game. He had a very good game, made some throws that really should have surprised nobody. He's got a very strong arm. But people were riding on that game, man, talking about, oh, the Cowboys got him one. I saw that game, did the research on it, and wasn't impressed because I understood what it was. But nevertheless, these people talking about getting a first taste of proper football, no. It's amazing how we so quickly forget how people were talking about this Buffalo game. Well, this was a preseason. against backups. And they were playing for something this time. They were playing for the doggone jobs. He looked a lot different. He said Joe would finish his day on the sideline after injuring his elbow as Will Grier took over, but Milton's afternoon saw him complete 17 of his 29 passes for 143 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. And there were actually some missed interceptions by the Rams. I can recall, at least in my mind, there were 2 easy ones that they dropped. It says we all knew Milton's physical talents, but we wanted to see if he could operate the offense, play on time, and deliver accurate balls to his receivers. And he didn't start the game in the best way, having back-to-back 3-and-outs with balls flying off and away from his receivers. Now, I do fault Brian for this. I don't understand why did he bring Joe Milton out with 6 straight pass plays? I didn't understand that, but it also shows me some of the cockiness that they have towards Joe Milton. Okay, we're gonna let Joe Milton come out here and light it up. It's the only thing I can think of. It didn't even make sense. 6 straight passing plays didn't make sense. But again, it goes to show you the cockiness. It says, but he did find his groove when head coach, play caller Brian Schottenheimer quickened up the tempo, and Milton found Jalen Brooks for 2 nice completions, totaling 26 yards before halftime. However, Milton's long bomb to start the third quarter into double coverage was picked off, and then on the following drive, he completely overthrew Ryan Flanoy, which was insane to me, who didn't have a defensive back near him, as the side of Joe's game that has to be refined in was clear. But we're saying that he's going to take Dak Prescott's spot. People were saying this before he even played the game. It says 2 completions to Trayshawn Holder for 42 yards, plus a nice touch pass to tight end Rivaldo Fairweather for a touchdown, and a Josh Kelly completion for the 2-point conversion saw Milton get into a groove before his injury. I don't agree. I don't agree. This to me is one of these issues, and you can read the rest of this on your own, but this to me is one of these issues where people are trying to find the good. It's not about finding the good, people. It's about truly understanding what Joe Milton is. Joe Milton is a developmental quarterback that the Cowboys are trying to fast track, and I want us to understand what we're doing. We're trying to fast track him into being the number 2 quarterback. Why are we doing that? People were saying, or I've heard Brian talking about, he's pushing Dak Prescott. Really? I don't think he is. And I said this before. Rather than you saying he's pushing Dak Prescott, how about we let Will Grier get in the mix? Because I got a strange feeling if we let Will Grier get in the mix, that we're really going to see that Joe Milton needs a whole lot of work. See, we did the same thing with Trey Lance last year. We didn't let Trey Lance battle Cooper Rush for the backup quarterback position. We rather let Trey Lance play himself out of the backup quarterback position. So I guess we're going to let Joe Milton play himself out of the backup quarterback position, because if he's not good enough, then I guess we promote Will Grier, who is not going to probably get hardly any snaps during any of these preseason games. Maybe maybe I'm thinking Will Grier may get some play in the third game, but it seemed like to me they're intentional, just like they were last year, letting Joe Milton play all of the snaps. And so again, I'm gonna answer the question, then I'm gonna answer my own question. Did Joe Milton get exposed, or are the people who continue to try to put this young man on a pedestal, giving him nicknames, people who are saying he's better than Dak Prescott, people who keep talking about he's the future of the Dallas Cowboys, people who keep saying all this stuff? I don't think it's Joe Milton that got exposed. Again, I'm pulling for Joe. I think Joe is going to be great. I think Joe, though, needs a lot of work. And I think he probably needs about 2 years. I'm not No, not one. He probably needs about 2 years. 2 years of work, toolage, and I think he may be ready in another couple of years. We'll see what happens as Dak inches closer to the end of that contract 3 to 4 years from now. We'll see what happens. But for right now, no surprises. Dak Prescott, again, is a top 5 quarterback. I don't care who that makes mad. Dak Prescott is a top 5 quarterback. And Joe Milton, again, should only be a reminder, especially when you look at Dak Prescott's rookie debut in the preseason. 10 for 12 for what, I don't know, I forgot how many yards and 2 touchdowns. Dak Prescott razzled and dazzled when he opened up in the preseason. And it was one of the main reasons why we could see that Dak Prescott was going to be the future for the Dallas Cowboys. And no knock on Joe Milton. He is what he is. He needs work. Y'all tell me what you think in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Until the next time, let's talk Cowboys, where we talk facts. Peace.